Conversations with an Alien God, Book 3, Chapter 2 by Neil Donald Walsh. What does the past have to do with the future? When you know about the past, you can better know about all your possible futures. You have come to me asking how to make your life work better. Can you help? Tell me about sex the way you do? I don't think so. It will be useful for you to know how you got to where you are today. I would speak to you of power and of strength and the difference between the two. And I would chat with you about this Satan figure you have invented, how and why you invented him, and how you decided that your God was a he and not a she. Is neither. I would speak to you of who I really am, rather than who you have said I am in your mythologies. I would describe to you my big name C in such a way that you will gladly replace the mythology with the cosmology, the true cosmology of the universe, and its relationship to me. I would have you know about life, how it works, and why it works the way it works. This chapter is about all those things. When you know those things, then you can decide what you wish to discard of that which your race has created. For this third portion of our conversation, this third book is about building a newer world, creating a new reality, which will be worse maybe. You have been living too long, my children, in a prison of your own device. I don't believe so. It's time to set yourself free. It's just like parrot eats the maize, and then the parakeet gets all the fame and the blame. You have imprisoned your 5 natural emotions, repressing them and turning them into very natural emotions, which have brought unhappiness, death, and destruction to your world. The model of behavior for centuries on this planet has been do not indulge your emotions. If you are feeling grief, get over it. If you are feeling angry, stop it. If you are feeling envious, be ashamed of it. If you are feeling fear, rise above it. If you are feeling love, control it, limit it, wait with it, run from it, do whatever you have to do to stop from expressing it full out right here, right now. It's time to set yourself free. And truth, you have imprisoned your holy self, and it's time to set yourself free. I'm starting to get excited here. How do we start? Where do we begin? And a brief start of how it all got to be this way. Let us go back to the time when your society reorganized itself. That's when man became the dominant species and then decided it was inappropriate to display emotions, or in some cases to even have them. What do you mean when society reorganizes itself? What are we talking about here? In an earlier part of your history, you lived on this planet in a matriarchal society, a female society. Then there was a shift, and the patriarchy emerged. When you made that shift, you moved away from expressing your emotions. You labeled it weak to do so. It was during this period that males was invented the devil and the masculine god. Males invented the devil? Yes, Satan was essentially a male invention. Ultimately, all of society went along with it. But the turning away from emotions and the inventions of an evil one was all part of a male rebellion against the matriarchy. A period, I think, started in Orion. It was not even Earth, but Orion. A period during which humans ruled over everything from their emotions. They held all government posts, all religions, positions of power, all places of influence and commerce, science, academia, academics, or healing. What power did man have? None. Man had to justify their existence, for they had very little importance beyond the ability to fertilize female eggs and move heavy objects. They were very much like worker ants and bees. They did the heavy physical labor and made sure that children were produced and protected. It took man hundreds of years to find and to create a larger place for themselves in the fabric of their society. Centuries passed before males were even allowed to participate in the clan's affairs, to have a voice or a vote in community decisions. They weren't considered by humans to be intelligent enough to understand such matters. Well, based on what we see right now in the world, were they wrong? Boy, it's difficult to imagine that any society would actually prohibit one whole class of people from even voting based simply on gender. Oh, wait until you see the suffragist, the suffragist of England, North America, who have to fight on the streets for a right of a vote. Each dog, every dog has its day. That's much I can say. I like your sense of human about this. I really do. Shall I go on? Please. Centuries more passed before they could think of actually holding the positions of leadership for which they finally had the chance to vote. Other posts of influence and power within their culture were similarly denied them. This started in Orion, okay, among the reptilian queens and her workers and her daughters. When males finally obtained positions of authority within society, when they at last rose above their former place as baby makers and visual physical slaves, it is to their credit that they did not even turn the tables on humans, but have always accorded females the respect, power, and influence that all humans deserve. Oh, wait a minute. This is what the dudes say here. When males finally obtained positions of authority within society, when they at last rose above their former place as baby makers and visual physical slaves, it is to their credit that they did not even turn the tables on humans. Oh, they did not. Look around. Even women buried behind their backyards from centuries ago. This has been happening. The human suddenly vanished from the house. Her family inquires about her. The male would tell, "Oh, she ran away from home," only to find out decades later that actually she was buried in the backyard of the house. That's how much they respect a woman. Imagine if they didn't respect it. A baby maker and visual physical slave is to their credit that they did not even turn the tables on humans, but have always accorded the females the respect, power, and influence that all humans deserve, regardless of gender. There is that humor again. Oh, I'm sorry. Do I have the wrong planet? Let's get back to our narrative, but before we go on about the invasion of the devil, let us talk a bit about power, because this, of course, is what the inventions of Satan was all about. You are going to make the point now that man has all the power in today's society, right? Let me jump ahead of you and tell you why I think this happened. You said that in the matriarchal period, men were very much like workers bees, serving the queen bee. You say they did the difficult physical work, and I make sure that children were produced and protected. And I felt like saying, so what's changed? That's what they do now. Hello? They hold the economic power and the politics power, you better demand. And much more, huh? Males hold it much more. They have it bigger than a human. And the human now is walking inside out, juggle between home and outside. Okay? Do you see this woman nowadays what? The child bearer, the child raiser, the bill payers, etc. And I bet that many men would probably say that not a great deal has changed except that man had extracted price for maintaining their thankless role. They do have more power. Actually, most of the power, if not all the power. Okay, most of the power, but the irony I see here is that both genders think they are handling the thankless tasks, while the others having all the fun. Men resent the human who are attempting to take back some of their power, because men say they will be damned if they will do all that they do for the culture, and not at least have the power it takes to do it. Human resent men keeping all the power, say they'll be damned if they continue doing for the culture what they do and still remain powerless. You have analyzed it correctly, and both men and human are damned to repeat their own mistakes in an endless cycle of self-inflicted misery until one side or the other gets that life is not about power but about strength. Tell that to the men. And that you both see that it's not about separation but unity. For it is the unity in the unity that inner strength exists, in the separation that it dissipates, leaving one feeling weak and powerless and hence struggling for power. I tell you this, heal the rift between you and the illusion of separation, and you shall be delivered back to the source of your inner strength. That's where you will find true power, the power to do anything, the power to be anything, the power to have anything. For the power to create is derived from the inner strength that is produced through unity. This is true of the relationship between you and your God, just as it is remarkably true of the relationship between you and your fellow humans. Stop thinking of yourself as separate, and all the true power that comes from the inner strength of unity is yours. As a worldwide society and as an individual part of the whole, to wield as you wish. Yet remember this, power comes from inner strength. Inner strength does not come from raw power, and this most of the world has it backwards. Power comes from inner strength. Inner strength does not come from raw power. Power without inner strength is an illusion. Inner strength without unity is a lie that has not served the race, but has nevertheless deeply embedded itself into your race consciousness. For you think that inner strength comes from individuality and from separateness, and that's simply not so. Separation from God and from each other is the cause of all your dysfunction and suffering. Still, separation continues to masquerade as strength. And your politics, your economics, and even your religions have perpetuated the lie. This lies the genesis of all wars and all the class struggles that lead to war, of all animosity between races and genders, and all the power struggles that lead to animosity, of all personal trials and tribulations, and all the internal struggles that lead to tribulations. Still, you cling to the lie tenaciously, no matter where you have seen it lead you, even as it has led you to your own destruction. Now I tell you this, know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. There is no separation, not from each other, not from God, and not from anything there is. This truth I will repeat over and over on these pages. This observation I will make again and again. Act as if you were separate from nothing and no one, and I will heal your word tomorrow. This is the greatest secret of all time. It's the answer for which man has searched for millennia. It's the solution for which he has worked, the revelation for which he has prayed. Act as if you were separate from nothing, and you hear the word. Understand that it's all about power with, not power over. Yeah, bravo, correct, beautiful. Thank you. I got that. So getting back, first it was females who had power over males, and now it is the other way around. And males invented the devil in order to wrest this power away from the female tribal or clan leaders. Yes, they used fear because fear was the only tool they had. Again, not much has changed. Man do that to this day, sometimes even before appeals to reasons are tried. Man uses fear, particularly if they are the biggest man, the stronger man, or the bigger, stronger nation. Sometimes it seems actually ingrained in man. It seems cellular. Might is right, strength is power. Yes, this has been the way since the overturn of the matriarchy. How did it get that way? That's what his story is all about. Then go on, please. What man had to do to gain control during the matriarchal period was not to convince the human that the man ought to be given more power over their lives, but to convince other men. Life was, after all, going smoothly, and there were also ways man could have to get through the day than simply doing some physical work to make themselves valued and then have sex. So what more they wish? Huh? What more? So is life. So it was not easy for man who were powerless to convince the other powerless man to seek power until they discovered fear. Fear was the one thing human hadn't counted on. It began, this fear, with seeds of doubt sown by the most disgruntled among the males, and usually they are the ugly ones, frustrated ones. These were usually the least desirable, yeah, all like that, of the man. The unmasked ones, the unadorned, or let's say the ugly ones, no handsome ones. Let's go straight to the point. And hence, those to whom human paid the least attention to. And I bet that because this one saw, their complaints were discounted as the raves of rage born of sexual frustration. Exactly, that's correct. Still, The disgruntled man had to use the only tool they had, so they sought to grow fear from the seeds of doubt. What if the human were wrong? They asked. What if their way of running the world wasn't the best? What if it was in fact leading the whole society, all of the race, into sure and certain annihilation? This is something many men could not imagine. After all, didn't human have a direct line to the goddess? Were they not, in fact, exact physical replicas of the goddess? And was not the goddess good? The teaching was so powerful, so pervasive, that man had no choice but to invent a devil, a Satan, to counteract the unlimited goodness of the Great Mother, imagined and worshipped by the people of the matriarchy. How did they manage to convince anyone that there was such a thing as an evil one? The one thing all of their society understood was the theory of the rotten apple. Even the humans saw and knew from their experience that some children simply turned out bad no matter what they did, especially as everybody knew the male children, the boys, who just could not be controlled. So a myth was created. One day the myth went, the Great Mother, the goddess of goddesses, brought forth a child, and she talk about the matriarchal reptilian queen, brought forth a child who turned out to be no good. Could it be in key? No matter what the mother tried, the child would not be good. Finally, he struggled with his mother for her very throne. This was too much, even for a loving, forgiving mother. The boy was banished forever, but continued to show up in clever disguises and clever customs, sometimes even posing as the Great Mother herself. This myth laid the basis for man to ask, how do you know the goddess we worship is a goddess at all? It could be the bad child now grown up and wanting to fool us. By this device, man got other men to worry, then to be angry that the human weren't taking their worry seriously, then to rebel. The being you now call Satan was thus created. It was not difficult to create a myth about a bad child, and not difficult either to convince even the human of the clan of the possibility of the existence of such a creature. It was also not difficult to get anyone to accept that the bad child was male. Weren't males the inferior gender? And they are. This device was used to set up a mythological problem. If the bad child was male, if the evil one was masculine, who would there be to overpower him? Surely not a feminine goddess, said the man, cleverly, when it came to matters of wisdom and insight, of clarity and compassion, of planning and thinking. No one doubted feminine superiority. Some, not all, some, because nowadays, if you get a clever woman, you are lucky. Yet, in matters of brute strength, was not a male needed. Previously in goddess mythology, males were merely consorts, companions to the females, who acted as servants and fulfilled their robust desire for lustful celebration of their goddess magnificency. Talk about some nymphs here. By now, a male was needed who could do more, a male who could also protect the goddess and defeat the enemy. This transformation did not occur overnight, but across many years. Gradually, very gradually, societies began seeing the male consort as also the male protector in their spiritual mythologies. For now, that there was someone to protect the goddess from such a protector was clearly needed. It was not a major leap from male as protector to male as equal partner, now standing alongside the goddess. The male god was created, and for a while, gods and goddesses ruled mythology together. Then again, gradually gods were given larger roles. The need for protection, for strength began to supplant the need for wisdom and love. A new kind of love was born in these mythologies. A love which protects with brute force, but it was a love which also covets what it protects, which was jealous of its goddesses, which now did not simply serve the feminine lusts, but fought and died for them. Myths began to emerge of gods of enormous power, quarreling over, fighting for goddesses of unspeakable beauty, and so was born the jealous god. This is fascinating. Wait, we are coming to the end, but there's just a little more. It wasn't long before the jealousy of the gods extended not only to the goddesses, but to all creations in all realms. We had better love him, these jealous gods demanded, and no other god, or else. Since males were the most powerful species and gods were the most powerful of the males, this seemed little room for argument. There seemed little room for argument with this new mythology. Stories of those who did argue and lost began to emerge. The god of Eroth was born. Soon the whole idea of deity was subverted. Instead of being the source of all love, it became the source of all fear. A model of love which was largely feminine, the endlessly tolerant love of a mother for a child, and yes, even of a human for her not too bright, but after all, useful man, was replaced by the jealous, wrathful love of a demanding, intolerant God who would brook no interference, allow no insouciance, I know no offense. The smile of the mused goddess, experiencing limitless love and gently submitting to the laws of nature, was now replaced by the stern countenance of not so amused God, proclaiming power over the laws of nature and forevermore limiting love. This is the God you worship today, and that's how you got where you are now. Amazing, interesting, amazing. But what's the point of telling me all this? It's important for you to know that you have made it all up. The idea that might is right or that power is strength was born in your male-created theological myths. The god of wrath and jealousy and anger was an imagining. Yet, something you imagined for so long, it became real. Some of you still consider it real today. Yet it has nothing to do with ultimate reality or what's reality going on here. And what is that? What's going on is that your soul yearns for the highest experience of itself it can imagine. It came here for that purpose, to realize itself, that is, make itself real in its experience. Then it discovered the pleasures of the flesh, not just sex, but all manners of pleasures. And as it indulged in these pleasures, it gradually forgot the pleasures of the spirit. These two are pleasures, great pleasures, than the body could ever give you. But the soul forgot this. Okay, now we are getting away from all the history and back into something we touched on before in this dialogue. Could you go over this again? Well, we are not actually getting away from the history. We are trying everything in together. You see, it's really quite simple. The purpose of your soul, its reason for coming to the body, is to be and express who you really are. The soul yearns to do this, yearns to know itself and its own experience. This yearning to know is life seeking to be. This is God choosing to express. The God of your stories is not the God who really is. That's the point. Your soul is the tool through which I express and experience myself. Doesn't that pretty much limit your experience? It does, unless it doesn't. That's up to you. You get to be the expression and the experience of me at whatever level you choose. There have been those who have chosen very grand expressions. There have been none higher than Jesus the Christ, though there have been others who have been equally as high. Christ is not the highest example. He is not God made man. Christ is the highest example. He is simply not the only example to reach that highest state. Christ is God made man. He is simply not the only man made of God. Great. Every man is God made man. You are me, expressing in your present form. Yet don't worry about limiting me, about how limited that makes me, for I am not limited and never have been. Do you think that you are the only form that I have chosen? Do you think you are the only creatures who I have imbued with the essence of me? I tell you, I am in every flower, every rainbow, every star in the heavens, and everything in and on every planet rotating around every star. I am the whisper of the wind, the warmth of your sun, the incredible individuality and the extraordinary perfection of every snowflake. I am the majesty and the soaring flight of the eagles, and the innocency of the dew and the field, the courage of lions, the wisdom of the ancient ones. And I am not limited to the modes of expression seen on your planet alone. You do not know who I am, but you only think you do. Yet think not that who I am is limited to you, or that my divine essence, this most Holy Spirit, was given to you and you alone. That would be an arrogant thought and misinformed one. My being-ness is in everything, everything. The allness is my expression. The wholeness is my nature. There is nothing that I am not, and something I am not cannot be. My purpose in creation you, my blessed creatures, one so that I might have an experience of myself as the creator of my own experience. Some people don't understand. Help all of us to understand. The one aspect of God that only a very special creature could create was the aspect of myself as the creator. I am not the God of my mythologies, nor am I the goddess. I am the creator, that which creates. Yet I choose to know myself in my own experience. Just as I know my perfection of designing through a snowflake, my awesome beauty through a rose, so too do I know my creative power through you. To you I have given the ability to consciously create your experience, which the ability I have. Through you I can know every aspect of me, the perfection of the snowflake, the wholesome beauty of the rose, the courage of lions, the majesty of eagles, all resides in you. And you have placed all of these things, and one thing more, the consciousness to be aware of it. Thus have you become self-conscious, and thus have you been given the greatest gift, for you have been aware of yourself, being yourself, which is exactly what I am. I am myself, aware of myself, being myself. This is what is meant by the statement, I am that I am. You are that part of me which the awareness experienced. And what you are experiencing and what I'm experiencing through you is me creating me. I am in the continual act of creating myself. Does that mean God is not a constant? Does that mean you do not know what you are going to be in the next moment? How can I know? You haven't decided yet. Let me get this straight. I am deciding all this. Yes. You are me choosing to be me. You are me choosing to be what I am and choosing what I'm going to be. All of you collectively are creating that. You are doing it on an individual basis as each of you decides who you are and experiences that. And you are doing it collectively as the co-creative collective being that you are. I think that they mean that they created this farm here, aliens create farm for us to express, and they want to know what it can be, what it can express, and so they come here to study us, to see how the library is doing, how the farm is doing, etc. I am the collective experience of the lot of you, and you really don't know who you are going to be in the next moment. I was being light-hearted a moment ago. Of course I know. I already know all of your decisions, so I know who I am, who I have always been, and I will always be. How can you know what I'm going to choose to be, do, and have at the next moment? Much less what the whole human race is going to choose. Because it's already programmed what? Simple. You have already done the choosing. Yeah, configuration is a computer disk. It sounds like a chip, something like that, a program, hologram. You already done the choosing. Everything you ever going to be, do or have, you have already done. You are doing it right now. Do you see? There is no such thing as time. This too we have discussed before. Is worth reviewing here. Yes, tell me again how this works. Past, present, and future are concepts you have constructed, realities you have invented in order to create a context within which to frame your present experience. Otherwise, all of our experiences will be overlapping. They actually are overlapping. That is happening at the same time. You simply don't know this. You have placed yourself in a perception shell that blocks out the total reality. I have explained this in detail in book 2. It might be good for you to reread that material in order to place what's being said here into context. The point I'm making here is that everything is happening at once. Everything. So yes, I do know what I'm going to be, what I am and what I was. I know this always. That is always. And so, you see, there's no way you can surprise me. Your story, the whole worldly drama was created so that you could know who you are in your own experience. It also been designed to help you forget who you are, so that you might remember who you are once again when created. Because I can't create who I am if I am already experiencing who I am. I can't create being 6 feet tall if I'm already 6 feet tall. I want to be less than 6 feet tall, at least think that I am. Exactly. You understand it perfectly. And since it's the greatest desire of the soul, God, to experience itself as the creator. And since everything has already been created, we had no choice other than to find a way to forget all about our creation. I'm amazed that we found a way trying to forget that we are all one, and that the one of us which we are is God. Must be like trying to forget that a pink elephant is in the room. How could you be so mesmerized? Well, you have just touched on the secret reason for all of physical life. It's life in the physical which has so mesmerized you, and rightly so, because it is, after all, an extraordinary adventure. What we use it here to help us forget is what some of you would call the pleasure principle. The highest nature of all pleasure is that aspect of pleasure which causes you to create who you really are in your experience right here, right now, and to recreate and recreate and recreate again who you are at the next highest level of magnificency. That's the highest pleasure of God. The lower nature of all pleasure is that part of pleasure which causes you to forget who you really are. So when you are being bad, we are with a lower nature of ourselves, lower nature of pleasure. Not condemn the lower nature, for without it you could not experience the higher. It's almost as if the pleasures of the flesh force us to forget who we are, then become the very avenue through which we remember. Yeah, because we learn through our mistakes. There you have it. You just said it. And the use of physical pleasure as an avenue to remembering who you are is achieved by raising up through the body the basic energy of all life, or the chakras, the kundalini, etc. This is the energy which you sometimes call sexual energy, and is raised up along the inner column of your being until it reaches the area you call the third eye. This is the area just behind the forehead, between and slightly above the eyes. As you raise the energy, you cause it to course all through your body. It's like an inner orgasm. How is this done? How do you do that? You think it up. I mean that, just as I said, you literally think it up. The inner pathway of what you have called your chakras. Once the life energy is raised up repeatedly, one acquires a taste for this experience, just as one acquires a hunger for sex. The experience of the energy being raised is very sublime. It quickly becomes the experience most desired. Yet you never completely lose your hunger for the lowering of the energy. But the basic passion, no ought you try. For the higher cannot exist without the lower in your experience, as I have pointed it out to you many times. Once you get to the higher, you must go back to the lower in order to experience again the pleasure of moving to the highness. So it's a vicious circle. This is the sacred rhythm of all life. You do this not only by moving the energy around inside your body. You also do this by moving around the large energy inside the body of God. You incarnate as lower forms then evolve into higher states of consciousness. You are simply raising the energy of the birth of God. You are that energy. And when you arrive at the highest state, you experience it fully. Then you decide what next you choose to experience. And where in the realm of relativity you choose to go in order to experience it. You may wish to again experience yourself becoming yourself. It's a grand experience indeed, and so you may start all over again in the cosmic wheel. Is this the same as the karmic wheel? No, there's no such thing as a karmic wheel, not the way you have imagined it. Many of you have imagined that you are on not a wheel but a treadmill in which you are walking off the debts of past actions and try valiantly not to incur in new ones. This is what some of you have called the karmic wheel. It's not so very different from a few of your Western theologies. For in both paradigms, you are seen as an unworthy sinner seeking to gain the purity to move on to the next spiritual level. Many idiots think that this is a school, we have to learn something, or people who suffer, they say because they did something in past life, even though you don't remember what the heck you did, that you have to pay here. When you do something evil here and then you pay late in the future, then we can understand, yeah, because I have been an idiot, I have been an asshole in the past, yeah, that's why I'm suffering. But then when you haven't been all this and you still suffer, then how to explain it? Isn't it? So there's no such thing as karma, and you have to pay something that's rubbish for you to think this way. For all of you who think this way. The experience which I have described here, on the other hand, I'm calling the cosmic wheel because there is nothing of unworthiness, debt, repayment, punishment, or purification. The cosmic wheel simply describes the ultimate reality of what you might call the cosmology of the universe. It's the cycle of life, or what I sometimes term the process. It's a picture phrase describing the non-beginning and non-ending nature of things, the constantly connected path to and from the all of everything on which the soul joyfully journeys throughout eternity. It's the sacred rhythm of all life, by which you move the energy of God. Wow, I've never had that all explained to me so simply. I don't think I ever understood all this so clearly. Well, clarity is what you brought yourself here to experience. That was the purpose of this dialogue, so I am glad you are achieving that. In truth, there's no lower or higher place on the cosmic wheel. How can that be? It is a wheel, not a ladder. That's excellent. That's an excellent imagery, an excellent understanding. Therefore, condemn not that which you call the lower basic animal instincts of man. Yet bless them, honoring them is the path through which and by which you find your way back home. This would relieve a lot of people of a lot of guilt around sex. It's why I have said play, play, play for, if all of life. Mix what you call the sacred with the sacrilegious. Until you see your altars as the ultimate place for love, and your bedrooms as the ultimate place for worship, you see nothing at all. You think sex is separate from God? I tell you this, I am in your bedroom every night. So go ahead, mix what you call the profane and the profound, so that you can see that there is no difference and experience it all as one. Then, when you continue to evolve, you will not see yourself as letting go of sex, but simply enjoy it at a higher level, for all of life is SEX, synergistic energy exchange. That's what sex stands for, synergistic energy exchange. And if you understand this about sex, you will understand this about everything in life, even the end of life, what you call death. At the moment of your death, you will not see yourself until let go of life, but simply enjoy it at a higher level. When at last you see that there is no separation in God's word, there is nothing which is not God, then at last you let go of this invention of man, which you have called Satan. If Satan exists, he exists as every thought you ever had of separation from me. You cannot be separate from me, for I am all there is. Man invented the devil to escape people into doing what they wanted, under the threat of separation from God if they did not. Condemnation being hurled into the everlasting fires of hell was the ultimate scare tactic. Yet now you need be afraid no more, for nothing can or ever will separate you from me. You and I are one. We cannot be anything else. If if I am what I am, all there is, why then would I condemn myself? And how would I do it? How could I separate myself from myself when myself is all there is and there is nothing else? My purpose is to evolve, not to condemn, to grow, not to die, to experience, not to fail to experience. My purpose is to be, not to cease to be. I have no way to separate myself from you or anything else. Hell is simply not knowing this. Salvation is knowing and understanding it completely. You are now saved. You needn't be worried about what's going to happen to you after death anymore. Beautiful.